Your hands are resting on your thighs, approximately around the middle of the thighs. And sometimes we'll teach having the option of turning the palms down or up. And today, just turn the palms down and give a slight press downward into your thighs. Lift your chest up and roll the skin of the top of the shoulders over and down your back. So take the skin, not only of the top shoulders, but also the armpit chest, the front sides of the armpit, and roll that skin up, over, and down the back. It's almost like you're trying to take the side flanks of the chest and take that armpit skin and roll it around toward the back of the armpit over the top of the shoulders. Of course, physically that's not possible, but it gives a sense of action for the entire shoulder area and the chest that spreads the top of the chest, that broadens the top of the chest. And you should feel that that action is coming from the armpit chest and not from your lower floating ribs. And it takes a certain type of effort and concentration to lift the chest and roll the shoulders and the skin of the chest and top shoulders in this area, in this way, without over involving that upper abdomen, lower rib cage territory. And then bring the hands together in front of the heart. The hands are at the bottom ribs here. Thumbs go up the sternum bone. We'll simply start with the sound of Om together. And of course, I can't hear you chant, but I of course encourage you to take the sound of Om. And we'll pause for a moment of brief silence afterward. And I encourage you in that moment to follow the echo of the sound that you generate with your voice in. Like the sound of Om sucks your hearing into your being. And then for a moment afterward, you're just listening to your being. Take a deep breath in. Turn the palms up, release them down. If you've bowed the head, you can inhale to lift it. Next exhalation, softly open the eyes. Well, good morning, everyone, again. Thank you for joining me. Sorry, we had a little bit of technical difficulties from the beginning with my Wi-Fi wasn't working, but I've got you on my phone now and we're all set. Today's practice is essentially going to be a lot of standing poses. We've done all 8 of the sequences from the Iyengar Yoga Greater Association, Association of Greater New York practice sequences. So now we're sort of starting, I wouldn't say we're starting over again, but we're going back to standing poses, which tends to be where you would begin a practice from or begin a series of practices from. You can either, there are different ways of practicing on your own. Sometimes it's advised to practice your standing poses, for example, on a Monday, and then you would practice maybe back bends on Tuesday and some restoratives on Wednesday or twists on Thursday. So you can, there's a lot of different categories of poses, but even within a week or within a week of a month or within one practice, the tendency is that standing poses are the first thing that you practice. I mean, not always. Sometimes you practice headstand first, or you might practice abdominal poses first. But the tendency, and something that you should understand for your own practice, is that the poses that require the most amount of effort, the most amount of concentration, the most amount of kind of willpower, and those are the poses that tend to be practiced first when you have the most amount of energy. And it's not that other poses don't require any energy or any attention, but the hardest and most full body active poses should come, generally speaking, first, although there are benefits to doing it the opposite way. And that should wind down progressively into a state of inward focus at the end of practice. So we tend to start our practices bringing the attention inward, chanting the sound or chanting the prayers. Attention spans out from within to the corners of the body, and then progressively, even that attention over the course of the practice gets drawn back into center, if you will, if there is a center, just kind of back inward, away from the periphery of the body, but still it's at the periphery of the body, and meditation can happen from there. So with all that, it kind of gives a context for today. All of you come up to standing, stand in Tadasana with the feet together. We're going to take Tadasana for several minutes in the beginning here with the feet all the way together. So join big toe, join inner heel. Extend your arms. And now the very first thing that you should do in Tadasana is just make sure that the middle line between the 2 feet is pointing straight forward, so that your feet aren't pointing slightly to the left or slightly to the right. And then you should study what's taking place in your feet. And that's not a visual study, that's an internal observation. Yes, the knees need to be straight. Yes, the elbows need to be straight. Yes, the chest has to lift. Those things are constants, but what you'll find is as you study your feet, the process of looking at your weight distribution on your feet will begin to take care of all of the other elements of Tadasana. So bring your attention to your heels. The heel forms a ring. So that we would sometimes call the ring of the heel, which is, you could also think of the heel not only as a ring, but somewhat as a globe or a half dome kind of a shape. And you should see where on your foot, particularly on that dome of the heel, your weight is being distributed. For many of us in the beginning, there is a lot of weight in the front, the toe side of that ring of the heel, of that dome of the heel. Start to take your weight backwards, taking weight slightly off of the toe side of the foot, although the toes do continue to press down and spread forward. You bring more weight back into that heel. And only you can really study your heel. Like with our video call right now, it's pretty much impossible for me to truly see what your weight distribution is. So you have to study your own pose and see, is my weight more on the front? Is it more on the sides? And try to get an equal amount of weight distributed around that entire ring of the heel. And then see, can you get your weight to distribute evenly between the right and the left? And I can tell you for myself, and for many of us, the weight oscillates. It kind of wavers a little bit, left, right, front, back. Concentrate your attention into your heels. Bring more weight back into the heels, almost like you're trying to press down. If you think of that dome shape of the heel, the middle of that dome, like the north, or I guess here maybe better said, the south pole of that dome, press that down into the ground. And as you press that down, see that by smashing or stamping the south pole of the dome of the heel down into the ground, that it begins to press down the entire equator of that dome of the heel down. And then make it your attempt, your effort, to stop wavering or to consolidate your weight evenly into the right and the left domes of the heel without changing your weight back and forth, without moving front, back, left, right. All your attention is absorbed in the heel. And what you'll find is as you get the heels down, the knees take care of themselves. The knees have to straighten in order to do that. And you stack your knees above your feet. You stack your hips above your knees, above your feet. You stack your shoulders above your hips, above your knees, above your feet. And rather than thinking about lifting the chest up, which is of course what you should do in this pose, see if you can feel the difference between getting the heels to stop oscillating and pressing down into the heels, and blend that with extending the crown of the head and the spine straight up. And see that that extension of the spine begins in the heels. Extend the arms fully with, we could use the strong word locked elbow joints. It would be very applicable here. And then take these side armpit chest territories and roll that side armpit chest and the top shoulders up, over, and around toward the back chest, the back body. And then with all of that alignment, have the gaze of the eyes open, a concentrated gaze, but not hard in the eyes, not hard in the throat or the jaw. So the facial features and the eyes are soft, not overworking, but the gaze of the eyes is concentrated on some point that's approximately eye level in front of you. And then go back to the heels and see if you can reduce or even bring to a total stoppage the fluctuation of the weight on the heels. Now, if you're on a carpet, this is much harder to do. Having a hard floor, or even if you have a carpet, having some, it sounds odd, but even like a piece of wood or a little piece of tile, something that you can stand on that's unwavering or unyielding will help you. So we're going to take several other standing poses, Utthita Trikonasana. So bring the knees, bend the knees, bring the fingertips together in front of the chest. Inhale, jump the feet out to the side. You're spreading your feet that 4.5 to 5 foot distance, and turn your feet to the right. Turn the left toes in, right foot turns out 90. Align the right heel with the left arch. And keep your arms extended. Observe how the weight on your left foot is now different from what you just did in Tadasana. You see here that the weight is now more forward toward the ball mound of the foot. And I'm going to be using this term, this kind of the south pole. I hope this is clear. What I'm referring to as the dead center of the heel, that dome of the heel, and the dead center of that heel being the dome or the ring of the heel and the south pole of the heel, if you will. If you let me use those terms. On your left foot, press that south pole of the heel down. And distribute your weight back from the toe side of the foot towards the heel side of the foot. On your right foot, press weight into the inner ring of the heel and the inner big toe ball mound of the foot. Press that as you turn the root of the right thigh from the inside out. Extend over the right leg. Take the right hand down, hold the ankle, extend the left arm straight up. Now press back into that left south pole of the heel, the bottom of the dome of the heel. And what you find is that generally speaking, your weight wants to pull forward toward the toe side of the left foot. Press weight into the back of the left heel. So you're not just pressing your weight and stamping down the outer left foot, you're actually trying to get that outer heel, the ring of the heel, the outside part of that ring of the heel to stamp down just as hard as the inner left heel. And then also with the right foot, press down into that instep on the right. Pull the left arm up, inhale to come up. Keep your arms extended, turn your feet. Turn your feet to the other side, right toes in, left toes out 90. Always good to double check that your right instep, or rather your left instep, aligns with the right arch. This pose is Parsva Hasta Padasana. A lot of our poses start with this. It's where the feet and the hands are turned to the side, preparing for one of our lateral poses. This is where we can start that heel meditation, if you will. So press the ring of the right heel down and move your weight back from the right toes towards the right heel. Not just by throwing the right knee joint backwards, but by actually distributing the entire weight of the leg back, pressing the front, upper, and middle thigh. So front thigh, the upper and the middle thigh near the root of the groin, pressing all of that back. Press down the left instep, left big toe, left inner heel. Keep that pressing strongly as you turn the root of the left thigh from the inside out and extend over the left leg. Take your hand to the ankle. Now, as you press that right ring of the heel, you should notice and you should feel how this is different from Tadasana. Can you feel that the weight goes forward or wants to go forward toward the ball mound of the foot, toward the arch of the foot? And then can you take weight back toward that outer edge of the heel? So yes, you're pressing down into what I've been calling the south pole of the dome of the heel, the kind of the peak of the dome that's closest to the ground. And as you press that down, you're also getting the outer rim, the back rim, for the outer and back edge of the foot to press down strongly. Not just the outer edge of the metatarsals, but the outer edge of the calcaneus, outer edge of the heel bone, not just the little bones between the heel and the toes. Keep that, turn the left thigh more, press the left instep more, and pull the right arm, inhale to bring you up. Turn the feet parallel to each other, bring the fingertips together, jump the feet back to Tadasana. Inner edges of the feet together. Stack the shoulders above the hips, above the knees, above the feet. Press the inner edges of the feet down. Once again, observe how your weight is oscillating on your heels. Now, we oftentimes in Tadasana will teach, there's a lot to teach, such as compacting the hips, such as lifting the kneecaps, such as extending the spine. But what I've found and what's true in this pose is if you can really get your feet well, the rest of the pose tends to start to happen as a result of what you're doing in your feet. So if you can really become stationary in your heels and press the whole ring of the heel down, notice that that invites or generates automatically a lift of the chest, an extension of the spine. That if your knees bend, there's no way you can keep your weight back into the ring of the heel of the foot. If the knees bend, weight will immediately start to spill forward into the toes and the ball mound of the foot. From here, we're taking Parivrtta Trikonasana, the same pose as last time, but the revolved version. Bring the fingertips together in front of the chest, bend the knees, inhale to jump the feet wide, and turn your feet to the right. Turn the left toes in, turn the right foot out. Just this time, make sure that you turn your left toes in a little bit more than last time. Now here, turn your chest and your hips around to the right leg. Press back that left heel, and from the back hip, from the left buttock, press down into that back rim of the heel, the outer ring of the left heel. Inhale, as you exhale, extend forward, take the left hand down to the inside of the right foot, and take the right hand straight up toward the ceiling. This is revolved triangle pose. If this is too much for you, of course you can use a grip for the inside of the right foot. Your left hand is on the inside of the right foot, and Sometimes we teach this pose with the hand on the outside of the foot or the hand holding the ankle. For today, we're just going to take the hand inside the right foot. Can you make a Tadasana left heel? Outer ring of the heel presses down. And what you find here is that the hips tend to sway out to the right. Draw the hips not just toward the left hip. It's not just that you're swinging the hips toward the left side hip, but also draw them back. So the outer right hip is coming in. Yes, the hips are swinging to the left, but also draw the hips straight back and take the top of the left hip down toward the left heel. This may stretch the front ankle flexor muscles. It may quite exaggerate the stretch of the right the right hamstring. All that's well and good, but see, can you get the hips aligned? Press that left heel even more. And then when you come up, you have to swing your left arm faster than your right side body comes out of the pose. So strong momentum, left side, inhale, swing the left side up strongly, turn the feet to the other side. Now, when you turn your feet to the other side, you want to make sure that your right foot turns in 45 degrees. So it's a little bit more internal rotation with the whole right leg than for triangle pose. From the outer right, not only outer, but what I'm kind of referring to is this area of your right buttocks, the top of the right buttocks, that should extend down to your right heel. Keep that extension downward. Revolve to the left. Take the right hand down, extend the left arm straight up. Keep turning the spine. Press from the outer right hip down into the outer right heel. It's quite easy to feel here that you've got a lot of weight on the right toes, right ball mound, right front of the foot. Can you get that Tadasana back in that right heel? Take the hips to the right, pull the left hip back, extend from the top of the right hip down to stamp weight down into that right heel. And then see, does this give you more turn of the spine? When you draw your hips under, yes, you might feel a deeper, more intense stretch throughout the left leg, but can you still turn the spine more? Can you turn your chest up toward the ceiling more? Press the right heel, right arm has to move faster than the left for your exit. Inhale, swing the arm to come up. Turn the feet and jump the feet back to Tadasana. Once again, back in Tadasana. Same meditation here, same concentration, heels. Feet all the way together, extend the arms toward the floor. Press down into the inner heels. And you'll see actually that this Tadasana is not the same quality of pose as the first one that you started with. That each pose is changing and informing how your weight distributes on your feet, how your spine extends, how your chest lifts. And just see, are your hips shifting over to one side or the other? And that likely correlates to a difference in weight distribution on the feet. If you feel that you're more on like the inner, if I felt like I was more on the inner left heel and more on the outer right heel, that would probably mean my hips are out to my right as well. So when you get your feet perfectly dead center and stop moving and shifting your weight around and just get that heel to stamp down, your hips kind of have to come right into the center line of the body. They can't shift out to the side anymore. Because most of us take the hips slightly out to the left or the right. Next pose is Utthita Parsvakonasana, extended side angle. Bring the fingertips together in front of the chest, bend the knees. Inhale to jump the feet wide. And return the feet to the right. Turn the left toes in. Turn the right foot out 90 degrees. I'm going to grab a block at this point. I'm sorry, I should have said this originally. This would be a time where we will use the block. I'm going to be using the second setting of the block for this pose. Extend the arms. Bend the right knee by extending from the inner groin to the inner heel. And extend over the right leg, take the hand down to the brick. For the first few moments in the pose, just take your left hand to your left hip. Now here, you should easily feel that, like in triangle pose, the weight of the left side wants to pull forward, weight wants to or has the natural tendency to go toward the ball mound side of the foot. Press the heel down. As you press the heel down, you'll feel that your hips follow suit, that your hips turn to the left, your abdomen turns to the left. Keep it going. Turn your chest to the left, as in turning the left breast around behind the body. It's not going to go that far, of course, but turn the right ribs around and up to turn the right breast up toward the ceiling. All of that turning action in this pose is amplified by stamping the outer rim of the left heel down. Extend the right arm or the left arm straight up. Turn the palm. Extend the arm overhead. Keep pressing the outer ring of the heel down. Now from that outer ring of the heel, lift the chest and actually lean back. Make a back bend. Arch your upper back. Turn the chest. Lean back. Lean backwards, not with your hips, just with your upper body. Lean the head back. Extend the head back. Turn the chest. And then tip the head forward. Look out over your left bicep and tricep. Inhale, pull the arm up to come up. And turn the feet. Now turn the feet to the left. Right toes in. Left foot out 90. Stamp the outer ring of the heel down. Outer ring of the right heel. Move your brick if you need to. So right now I'm teaching this with the brick at the second setting. You of course could be using the taller setting if you need to. You would know that you need to because if you go down onto this brick, I can demonstrate this quickly. If you go down and the brick is too low, and your chest turns down toward the floor too much, that would be a sign that you just need that little extra support to turn the chest up. Eventually, yes, we do the hand down on no support. Okay, so that gives us a sense of why we're using the brick. Bend the knee, extend over the left leg, take the left hand down, right hand on the hip. Stamp down that outer right ring of the heel. Take weight back toward the back of the heel. It's not that your toes on the right are coming away from the floor, but the weight is going away from the toe side of the foot toward the heel side of the foot. And now the more weight goes back to that heel side of the foot, press the outer rim of the heel down and use that to propel your whole body into a turn toward the right. Turn the abdomen to the right, turn the middle, like the middle ribs to the right, turn the chest to the right. Extend the right arm up, turn the palm, extend the arm overhead. When you extended the arm, did the heel get lighter? Stamp that down. Turn the hips and the chest and the abdomen around to the right. And then arch the back. Roll the shoulders down the back. Do an upper back bend. Don't change your hips. Arch the upper back. Move the upper back in. Extend the chest up toward the right fingertips. Look back turn the head and turn the head to look around the right arm. Pull the arm, inhale, swing the arm to come up, turn the feet, and jump the feet back together. Stand in Tadasana. It's quite a strong pose, extended side angle. Investigate the effect on the hips, the heels, feet, oscillation of weight. The oscillation of weight is actually so pivotal in the yoga poses, or I should say reducing the oscillation of weight. In Yoga Sutra 246, Patanjali, in his exposition on yoga, explains that the yoga pose, the yoga asana, has the qualities of steadiness and satisfaction, or sometimes relaxation is the translation. But steadiness is the first adjective he uses to describe a yoga pose. So we're always seeking, even in a very challenging pose, some sense of steadiness. And it can be quite hard to be steady in extended side angle. There's a lot of effort taking place in the body, of course, but in Tadasana, maybe there's more steadiness that can be gleaned from the pose or in the pose. Can you have softness to the face, steadiness of the eyes, weight's not oscillating right and left foot, it's just perfectly 50-50 right and left foot? Maybe that doesn't come right away, but still seek that. Still strive for that. And then in our next pose, Warrior One, bring the fingertips together in front of the chest, bend the knees, jump the feet out to the side, Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior One, turn the palms up and extend the arms overhead. Right now you have your arms in the position we often call Urdhva Hastasana, upward arm pose. Turn your feet to the right. Turn the left toes in, 45 degrees. Again, this time, like in revolve triangle, the left toes have to turn in a little bit more than in, say, normal triangle, extended side angle. And then turn your body around to face the right leg. Without hardening your right buttocks or strongly gripping your buttocks in toward the sacrum, press from the right buttock down into the right outer edge of the foot and left. All that was meant to be left. The left buttock, left rim of the heel. So without hardening that left buttock, press down to the left heel. Bend the right knee, drive the outer knee up toward the outer hip. Keep the right hip moving in so that your right hip doesn't poke out to the right side. Right hip moving in, bend the right knee deeply. It's not just a matter of sagging the right hip down towards the floor, but draw that hip in. From the outside, right hip, press toward the inner hip. Press weight from the top rim of the left buttock down into the left heel without just clenching the butt cheek. Press more weight, left heel. And now look up at your hands, join your hands together, lift your chest, fully extend your arms, and see, can you bend your knee a little bit more? Sit down deeper into the pose, lift the chest, lift the chest. And then straighten the right leg, separate the arms, keep the arms extended. Turn the feet to the other side. Turn the feet to the left, make sure that your right toes turn in. Now from here, you keep your arms extended. I'm going to point on the outer rim of this right buttock. Press down to the right heel. So there should be a tremendous pressure down into that right heel, but that's not coming from just clenching the butt cheek in toward the sacrum. Allow that buttock to relax and turn around like you're turning the left buttock or right buttock around with the rest of the body to face the left leg. Extend the arms and bend the left knee. When you bend the left knee, don't swing the hips out to the left. Take the outer left knee to the outer left hip in toward the middle. Bend the knee even more. And turn your abdomen, your chest, your rib cage to the left by pressing your right heel down. Press the outer edge of the foot, the outer edge of the right heel down. Then tilt your head back, look up at your hands, join your hands, lock your elbows, lift the chest, and look up. You have to find the interplay, the connection from pressing down the right heel to extending up through your chest and your fingers. Bend the knee a little bit more, extend from the pressure of the heel through the hands and the chest. And then straighten the left knee, separate the arms, bring the fingertips together, jump the feet back to Tadasana. Now we're taking Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Turn, place the hands. Actually, we're going to go onto hands and knees. So drop down onto hands and knees. Have your hands and your wrists stacked. Should really say your wrists right under your shoulders. Index fingers parallel. Have your knees right underneath your hips. And curl the toes underneath. Lift the knees, extend the legs. When you go up, align your feet such that your feet are as wide apart as your hands and your second toes are parallel to each other. Now, for many of us, the heels do not come to the floor, or they certainly don't mimic Tadasana heels. Can you mimic Tadasana heels anyway? Press the heels down, bring more weight back into the heels. Can you recreate the feeling of being in Tadasana with your legs here? Stack the hips back or pull the hips back as if you were trying to stack them over the heels. Press the outer edge of the heels down. Lift the back buttock up and press the sacrum back. Heels back and down. Not just try to slam the heels down, but reach them back as if you were going to take them off of your mat. With your upper body, extend your inner arms. Take your outer armpits down toward the floor and press down into the inner hand. Elongate from the inner hand through the inner shoulder, outer armpits down toward the floor. Come out. Bend the knees, drop down. We're setting up for Salamba Shirshasana 1, supported headstand 1. Fold your sticky mat twice or use a blanket to make a 4-layered sticky mat. Set up either freestanding middle of the room or at the wall. Now, before you go up, we're going to take several instructions first. So I think the couple of you that I've got today in front of me on the live call will all be doing some form of using your base. It would be better to use the base. We're not going to be in this pose for too long today, so if you're going to be using the wall, that's fine. It would be better. Try to free balance away from the wall. Even if you're using the wall as a security measure, which is of course fine to do, no shame in doing that, you should still be attempting to migrate your weight away from the wall, having the wall there, but your feet just sort of come a few inches away from the wall and you start to get that balance. So come on to, we're going to talk you through it. So come on to your hands and knees and place your elbows down on your padding, whether that be a blanket or a mat. Interlace your fingers. Interlace your fingers all the way to the webbings of the fingers. Study your base for a moment before placing your head and see that your outer wrist and your inner wrist are parallel to each other and your outer wrist presses down strongly into the floor. Blend pressing the outer wrist down with pressing the inner elbows down. So all of the understanding that you have from Tadasana should now translate into looking at your arms the same way that you studied your feet in the standing poses, because now it's all going upside down. So it would be like, it's not a perfect translation, of course, because your arms and your forearms are shaped much differently, but one of the areas that's light is the outer wrist. One of the areas that's light is the inner elbow. And so that's quite similar. The inner elbow is quite similar to the inner heel not coming down. And although I didn't really teach this in standing poses, the outer wrist not going down is kind of like clenching up and curling the toes. And sometimes we've worked on that, of pressing the toes down in standing poses to transition weight back into the heels. So you press the outer wrist down, you press the inner heels down, and I want you to be understanding, and you should be doing the base at this point, understand that pressing your inner elbows down is not the same as rolling on the skin of your forearm towards your inner elbows, because that's more of a gross, massive movement. It's much different. Don't slide on the skin of the arms in, but press down from your shoulder to your inner elbows. I hope that makes sense. And then place the head, straighten the knees, lift the knees away. At first, when you place your head, you should be placing the head a little bit more toward the forehead side of the head. When you go up, you will roll a little bit by the shape of the pose toward the crown of the head, which is where you want to be. Now walk in, and then one leg or both legs, bend the knees, kick up, either to the wall or freestanding. Continue to press down, inner elbow, outer wrist. Now with your pose, roll your knuckles up towards your head. And you should feel that that actually elongates the inner wrist or the outer wrist territory. So your knuckles don't curl underneath the shape of the head. They should actually roll up toward the ceiling and elongate the outer wrist to give more space to press down. Press down the inner elbows. And now we also often teach, and it's very good to teach and to practice here, lifting your shoulders up your back. And the tendency when we lift the shoulders is that we're lifting the outer shoulders, like we're lifting the outer armpit. We're lifting the back shoulder and outer armpit. But I'm going to ask you to take your attention to your inner shoulders. Chest, top rib, collarbone, inner shoulders. Can you lift there? And you will feel, if you're free balancing, hopefully I hope you try this away from the wall, just an inch with your feet away from the wall will help. If you lift the inner shoulders up, the topmost chest, the first rib, the collarbone, that territory moves up as if it's transitioning up into the body. Then the pose comes straighter and weight goes a little bit back toward the head, back at the head. Now reach the heels up, extend the legs, move the middle buttock toward the front pubis bone. So you're drawing the middle buttock away. You're not letting the butt sag behind you.
Move the middle buttock forward, extend the legs up as you extend up through the inner shoulders. Now this could easily be called upside down Tadasana, head balance. So can you here come to just 10 seconds of not wavering, not shifting. Don't overdo any of the actions. Don't go lazy in any of the actions. Just be in the pose and see if you can be stationary, still. Now to come out, strongly lift the shins. We're going to come down, attempting to come down both legs at the same time. Hips go back, lift the shins as you lower the legs down. And then immediately drop down into Adho Mukha Virasana, downward facing heroes pose. Extend the arms. Keep the head down. Rest the head down. Extend the arms fully. Extend the neck. Just rest the back. Give yourself a moment to calibrate, come back to equilibrium. Can't think of the word. But you're just giving your brain a moment to let the blood leave the brain, the neck and the upper back a moment to rest. You come back up now, seated in Vajrasana. And our next pose will be Salamba Sarvangasana, shoulder stand. I'm going to encourage you because today I would like to teach shoulder stand with blankets and with a chair. So we're using the chair for Halasana, the plow pose, and for one-legged shoulder stand variations. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to set up my blankets. I have my mat going this way. I'm going to set up. I use 4 blankets. If you're more petite, you might be using 3. If you have neck issues, you might be doing the chair shoulder stand instead, or using 4, 5 blankets, things like that. If you have really severe neck issues, you would be doing chair shoulder stand instead. And if even that's not going to work for you, then if it's still too much on your neck, you would be doing Salamba Sarva or Setu Bandha Sarvangasana instead, the bridge pose, which we've gone over many times. So I've got my 4 blankets set up. Grab it. You doing you start. Okay, and I've got a chair for Halasana behind me. Now I'm going to be using a belt for my arms. I open the belt up to make a loop in the belt. If you don't have the belt, that's fine. Okay, and then I'm going to take one bolster. This bolster is going to support my buttock. So I'm going to demo this just briefly getting in. If you know how to get in, please go ahead. I sit on the bolster and I lie back. Now this is very important. You should listen here that you want to make sure that you have this about 1 to 2 inches of space for the tops of your shoulders to roll onto when you go up to Halasana. I've taken my chair, I've pushed my chair arms distance away. I have my belt handy, I know where it is. Go ahead, lie back if you haven't yet, and now kick the legs up to Halasana. Put your hands through the belts. Arms through the belt, so the belt should support the upper arm, not the forearm. And now in Halasana, I remain here in the pose,
lift your knees, lift your thighs to take them away from your face. Take your hands to the middle back, and then one leg at a time, extend the arms up. Or rather, extend the legs up, excuse me. Now here, once you're up in shoulder stand, press the outer shoulders down, outer elbows down, and move your back vertebrae away from your hands. So your hands shouldn't just be powering into your body, pressing you forward to the max. Press your outer shoulders and outer wrists down, or rather not outer wrists, outer shoulders, outer elbows down, and draw your back vertebrae and ribs away from your hands so that your hands almost become more like ornaments than actually what's holding you in the pose. Take the middle buttock forward, turn the thighs in, extend up through the legs. Now for Ekapada Sarvangasana, one-legged Sarvangasana, keep the right leg extended up, or rather the left leg extended up into the air. Lock the right knee, extend through the right heel as you reach the foot down, and hover the foot just an inch or two away from the seat of the chair. Reach through the heel. Now you'll find here, as soon as you go into Ekapada variations of Sarvangasana, the outer elbow became lighter on the floor. Press the outer elbow down, take the back away from the hands so that you're expanding the chest and yielding the back off of the hands, or pulling the back off of the hands, and then continue that. Take the foot down, just briefly graze the chair with the foot, and then extend the right leg back up. And extend the right leg up, keep the right leg unwavering as you bring the left leg down. This is Ekapada Sarvangasana with the left leg down. Both knee joints are locked. Extend through both inner heels. Study your base. Press your outer elbows down, outer shoulders down. Take the upper back in, as in away from your hands. And then see, can you lower that left foot down just a little bit? Graze the chair, and then inhale, bring the foot back up. We're doing both sides again. A little quicker this time. Lock the knees, extend through the heels, outer elbows down. I know you're lowering your right leg down. Lower the right leg down, but focus on your outer elbows as you do it. Outer elbows, outer elbows, outer elbows. Then graze the chair, come back up. Left foot coming down, knees locked, reach through the heels, outer elbows, outer elbows, outer elbows, outer elbows pressing down. Graze the chair, inhale, come back up. Extend the legs. And now we're going to exit the pose, bend the knees, bring both legs, actually don't bend the knees, extend both legs down to the chair, remove the belt, round the back, very carefully roll out of the pose. Attempt to roll out just one vertebra at a time. Release the head. Pause for a moment. And then turn to the right side, roll off of all of your blankets. And open up your mat. Set your mat up for Shavasana. Now, it's not going to be an overly long Shavasana today, but do take the support that you need. It's good to use a blanket underneath the head. So now briefly, we can actually connect some of these actions of Shavasana, or some of the actions of
of shoulder stand, shoulder balance into Shavasana briefly. Now, I'm not saying that you should be working in Shavasana the whole time, but in the beginning, you can do a little bit of work and then go passive. So tuck your shoulder blades underneath you. Take your outer elbows down, outer shoulders down, and you should feel that on your hands, you rotate toward the index finger knuckle side of the hand. And then relax the back, relax the buttocks, let go, and just trust that the traction of what you've created and kind of gravity will hold your shoulders and upper body in place. And rest. Now, we won't be here for very long, but just take several smooth, steady breaths. And you should observe your body. You should observe what's taking place for you, not that you're spacing out or drifting off into some other experience or some like kind of creamy Lotus Lake type of feeling. It's just a very direct, very observant, what is taking place right now in the body. And then slowly extend the fingers and the toes. And start to bend up the knees. Push your left heel to help you turn to the right. Catch the head and the right arm as you revolve to the right. And then use your hands to help press you up to any seated position. Namaste. May we all know peace. May we all know yoga. All right, everybody.